Hello, good afternoon. How are you? I'm gonna just leave just a few seconds for everyone to log in. I'm really excited to be doing this new series. And can you hear me well? Yes? Okay. Okay. If you can't, just send me a message, please. Okay. All right. I'm gonna just leave. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna just get started. Welcome everyone. I'm really excited to this new series of Ask Me Anything. This is the first month and I will be launching each month a different theme. I'm really glad to see familiar faces, families who I've been working with, friends, and even like new people from Texas and even like Singapore and Hong Kong. So welcome all aboard. The ideas for this series is not for me to be talking and providing a webinar about a specific topic, but I want you to have the chance to ask me all the questions you have this month specifically about your child's learning needs and how that it's going to look like over the summer. So if you want, I'm going to do have some questions that some parents have been sending me through email. So I have some questions already, but I would like to invite you, if you haven't, there's a Q&A. If you see it in your screen, it's over here that I'm sharing. There's a Q&A bottom. So if you can start asking your question here, and then I can get started. I'm gonna start answering the questions according to, like in line, right? According to the people who've been like writing before. So I do have some questions from parents who emailed me. Then I would invite you to start asking questions in the Q&A bottom. Did you find it? Were you able to find it? Yeah? Okay. I'm not sure. Raise your hand. Can you raise your hand if you found the Q&A bottom? Yeah? Okay. Yes. Okay, perfect. So let's get started. I'm going to give you 1 minute for you to start asking your question, and then I'm going to start answering your questions in order. So while you start writing your questions, I do have two actually questions from emails that I got that I kind of repeat according to what they were describing in different ways, but it's more or less the same. And they would ask me, should I ask my child to do something about academics over the summer or not? Of course, that it's a very basic question, but it's a really important one. My question would really be that it would depend on your child's learning needs. I would say that this is going to be a very different summer from the rest of the summers from our children. And there's a lot of research that I've been reading. I've been also in discussions from professors from Harvard and from different universities and like researchers that they've been doing research about the influence of this quarantine in the last 3 months in children's learning. For most children, being forced to do on remote learning wasn't really a good experience. For some kids, and actually personally, I've seen some kids with some of my clients that it's been working pretty good, but for most of them, and even like research would also provide that information, it wasn't a very successful experience. And I think it's mostly because first, teachers were not prepared to do it. So they've been learning, along the way. And secondly, because children were not even like also prepared to start doing this. So definitely we've been having like a gap for most kids. It's been a gap in 3 months in terms of how much they're learning in terms of their academic skills. Then add those 3 months to the 3 months of the summer. So we might have like 6 months summer or quarantine loss of academic gains. So I know that eventually then when school resumes, and we still don't know how it's going to look like when school resumes, I know that teachers would have to kind of compensate and try to find out during the first few months how they're going to help all those kids. But the starting point, it's going to be very different from a child who has been practicing along the summer than the one who didn't do anything. That's for sure. On top of that, there are certain kids who even need the extra push. So if you don't do anything, throughout the summer, definitely that it's going to have a huge impact on those children. So I would say yes or no. It will depend on the child. You've been a really good teacher and observer of how your child has been learning during these 3 months. So if you see, again, compared to other kids, compared to what the teacher is providing you, that he is even within the top, 25th percentile of his class, I would say you can relax. And maybe at the beginning of, by the end of the summer, you can start reviewing some of those skills. But for most of the kids, I would suggest that at least they should be doing something. And then we're going to talk about what that something means. Let me see that I have another question. I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. Apart from having a reading routine every night, how should I maintain a routine during the summer of their academics since they already lost so much during the quarantine? And also have a great summer time for fun. Definitely. I'm a really pro, and that's not for now, and for always. My perspective when I work with kids, and I mostly work with kids who kind of struggle at somehow, is yes, those kids need to spend time on their weaknesses, but at the same time, it's really, really important for them to spend time of their strengths and areas of interests, especially over the summer. So definitely finding a balance between both things for me is really, really important. How can you do that? I would suggest if you want to keep up a routine, and that's actually something good for everyone, especially these days that, there's so much uncertainty. Keeping a routine helps the children with their anxiety and with their expectations about what's going on. So having a routine, if you're thinking or planning, or actually if you have decided for some summer camp, if they're going to go to the summer camp over the morning, then you can, in the routine after lunch, they can have some routine of like academic work. It will depend really on the age. For the little ones, like let's say from kindergarten to second grade, I would recommend, if you're working on one-on-one, like independent work, not with a tutor, but if you're as parent giving some homework, the idea should be for them to be able to do something that they can do independently. And that means it should be at a level that they are capable of doing. If they need too much help, that would mean that you're giving, your kid something that's way too hard. And then someone like an expert should be kind of helping him with that particular skill, and not necessarily you. So if your plan is to have your child practice and reviewing the skills, try to level up according to what he can do now. And the amount of time that I would spend for independent work for a kindergarten should be about 10 minutes a day. For first grade, second grade, it can go up to 20 minutes, but definitely I don't think that should be more for, again, independent work. Then the other thing is about working one-on-one with a tutor, with a specialist. That's, another take. But as a parent, you can definitely provide, if you have a routine of going to, I don't know, like kind of a summer camp or anything that they enjoy doing over the morning, then they should have at least spent 30 minutes before heading into something that they like. So typically what I do is, if I kind of rule it out with screen time. Nowadays, children are spending way too much screen time than before. So if I would decide and I would kind of plan the day, kind of the routine for them, and visuals work really well too. So for example, I'm gonna share the screen. And what I would do, especially with kids from kindergarten to second grade, even with the other ones, with the older ones too, creating a routine with them, not for them. And that means creating a routine in which you will plan out the day with them helps them a lot. It also to become prepared when it's kind of academic time, right? So it's not about just telling your kid, hey, like we have 10 minutes, let's sit and do some homework. But okay, like here is what we're gonna do. So for example, I don't know, summer camp in the morning. So we can even write down like the time, I don't know, from 9 to noon, summer camp, then at 1, lunch. So you can create that schedule with your child. 2, for the little ones, it could be quiet time. And that means like reading or screen time. You can either play it out if you want to do the homework or the schoolwork or practicing any academics, like here after lunch. I would recommend that. Kind of academic time. And then they can have the screen time. So they will be kind of willing to do it also if you find that they're not too motivated to do it, because they won't be able to have any screen time if they don't do that first. So then, I don't know, like that could be going out to the park, like, and just like keep on doing the rest, you know, with the times. So they have a full routine, and every day you kind of start over and then you review the schedule with them, and then you go through everything, so what they are supposed to do. For some kids, even like crossing out, so for example, they came back from summer camp, so you can cross it out. So like, okay, what's next? They had lunch, okay, what's next? And now they know that it's academic time. That flow of the day and helping them like go step by step, it's gonna definitely help them become more prepared when it's actual time to do their work. And again, it's a balance between providing, you know, time for academics and also providing time for having fun and also exploring their interests. Okay, another question that, okay, so welcoming the ones who just got in, I would invite you, if you can find the Q&A button. If you have any questions, please write them there. So then I'm just replying to all the questions in order. Another question that I have is, let's see. Okay. Yeah, my child is very reluctant to do academic work. Most likely when kids don't want to do any academic work is because they have difficulty with that particular area. So that is what's going to happen over the summer, right? For the kids who are doing well, most kids will keep on practicing those skills, even though you don't ask them to do it and sit down for that. So for the kids who enjoy reading, it's most likely over the summer, they will keep on reading books. So then they're going to be more ready when school resumes in August. For the kids who struggle academically, it's most likely that they won't just read by themselves. It's not like a preferred activity they would like to do over the summer. So if you don't actually have any plan to help them out, then when school resumes, they're going to be such in a not preferential position to the other one who actually finished the academic school year better. And then even though parents really don't force them to do anything, the child will just, independently keep on learning and practicing that skill. So unfortunately, for the ones who struggle a little bit or a lot, as parents, we need to make plans for them, and we need to kind of, make plans and do something about the summer. Because if not, the gap, with a kid who doesn't have any difficulty, with the kid who has somehow like a struggling in area of academic areas, the gap every year, it's gonna widen up. And that's typically what happens with kids who struggle a little bit. And unfortunately, in order to narrow the gap, this kid, the one who struggles a little bit, always needs to work harder. But from my experience, the positive aspect of that, of those kids who struggle, but they have to keep up and they work a lot, is that at the end of the day, let's say when it comes to middle school or high school or even college, they've been working so much along the years that they're so used to work hard that it's such an important trait when it comes to academics or when it comes to any life skill, right? That eventually that kid is going to do much better than maybe the kid who didn't have any trouble. He learned really fast, but he didn't practice that much, and he didn't have the chance to actually spend time persisting and working through. So typically those kids, when it comes to middle school, the kid who had some trouble and he's so used to keep, work hard, might even do better than the other one who didn't put much effort in it. And now middle school is a time in which no matter, the level that you're up to, you have to sit down and you have to spend a lot of time working on things because the texts are longer, because you're asked to do longer projects. So this particular skill of persistent to a task is definitely a must for everyone. So over the summer, again, as part of that exercise of keeping, the kids used to practice a little bit more and more and more, I would suggest, again, not that much, don't spend too much time, okay, throughout, I don't know, let's say like a 6-year period, at least 20 minutes for the little ones, or an hour and a half per day for the ones who need to work, the most, is top. I know there are many programs that even they offer like 4-hour programs, or 4 hours per day for 10 weeks over the summer. I think that of course, it's going to work academically. Definitely, they're going to improve. But at the end of the day, that might have an impact on the child's self-esteem and emotional development over the summer, right? So my take is typically with the programs that I do offer is to kind of provide a balance between frequency and intensity, throughout the summer, but at the same time leaving definitely hours for the kids to be kids, to have fun, and again to enjoy and explore their talents. Always, from my understanding, take that into account. There are some kids, even like now through these days, that they're employing so much technology that maybe they find that they are able to draw better because they watch a video, about like drawing, and finally they are more aware that they could be really good at that, and then they spend more time drawing and finding their interests and strengths that maybe you as a parent didn't know before. So focus also on the positive besides the negatives. Let's see, another question that I have is, okay, my daughter is not really good in math. Do you have any recommendations of workbooks or programs for that? Definitely, I can then send you some recommendations, and you can email me if you're interested in like sending you some workbooks over the summer that you can work with. But I would suggest, if your child is 7, from what I read, I would suggest besides jumping into workbooks, use manipulatives, and that means use like any objects that you have around, and try to do the typical, like the addition, the subtraction, taking away, putting more, like use visual aids, use manipulatives in order for her to understand the equations, because for most kids that is pretty a very abstract thinking skill to ask. And if you work on this, you know, on materials, on things that she can have like familiarized with object, you know, from home, and then she can take a look and you put like 6 and you take away 2, so how much do you have? So you go through the visuals first, and then you go to the equation, right? So the number 6 minus, and then the number 2 equals, and so forth. So I would suggest, besides workbooks that I can send you some links, work on manipulatives, on things that, you know, with objects that they can take a look at that moment, and then go through the calculation. It's very important for math, especially in the first years, if they can have the math fluency. That means like if they are able to do calculations really fast, then that it's going to allow the kids to be able eventually in 3rd grade forward to be able to solve problems more easily. So I would focus in from kindergarten to 2nd grade in math, to do math calculation like fast, at least like adding with 1 digit and subtracting with 1 digit, starting in 2nd grade, adding with 2 digits, just to kind of keep up. And you can do drills. You can do drills, even like 1 minute drill each day, and that definitely it's gonna help them. So again, it doesn't have to be like really long, the practice, but if you keep 5 minutes or even like from 1 to 3 minutes of drilling each day of math, let's say, then you will start seeing the difference. And that is gonna help them eventually in the long run to keep up with the rest. ¿Qué son drills? Sorry, drills son, they are drills in español, in Spanish, cuando tienen que practicar y decir las cosas muchas veces. So for example, a drill will be like in 1 minute, they would have to finish, like to complete, let's say 1 plus 3, 2 plus 2, 3 plus 1. Those are drills. So you can have like 1 page of drills to complete, and then you can time, you know, your kid, and see how much she was able to do in 1 minute or in 2 minutes. And then you can have the same drill repeated over the time, and then she or he can keep on doing the same thing like all over until, and you will see the difference. I mean, that's how we work typically with 5-minute drill in our sessions for math, and you will see the difference, and your child is going to see the difference. So again, if your child sees that he's improving, then it's most likely, and then you know that it's kind of a little bit easier for him. It's most likely that he would be willing to keep on working, right? So those are the drills. What do you recommend for the children starting to kindergarten, online programs and books? Okay, starting kindergarten, if you're looking for a free platform, online platform, I really recommend Khan Academy Kids. Khan Academy Kids, from what I've seen like all over, is a really good platform because they're of course like at that age like kind of like games, but they're really well done in the sense of educational perspective. So that would be my top. If you're thinking about like an online program for free, that would be my top. Khan Academy Kids. You have all the different subjects. You even have books. They can do many different activities. So that would be my top. For starting kindergarten, just for you to take into account like kindergarten readiness and what are the things that children are supposed to know entering kindergarten. And again, try to figure out if your child is like, you know, above, beyond, or, you know, in between. But at least they need to know all the letters, lowercase and uppercase. They need to count and identify numbers back and forth from 1 to 20. They need to know at least 5 sight words and be able to write them down. Those are the typical skills that we need, that kindergarten need. So again, you can also ask your teacher, how is your child? I mean, how did he or she finish the academic year, and kind of try to make a plan accordingly. For books, I don't have a particular book. Typically when we work with the kids over the summer, I put together kind of from different programs, one particular program individualized according to the child. But if you can look around, like in Amazon, you have different like books, readiness for kindergarten. But again, I wouldn't spend time on things that they already know, right? So when you try to kind of come up with a plan for your child over the summer, if you're asking your child to repeat things or over and over, of course they're not going to be motivated. When we ask someone to do something, I mean, if we are willing to have our kids learn, actually the process of learning should be a stage in which your child doesn't really know how to do it by himself that much, but it's not too hard for him to be able to do it. And, and at the same time, it's not so easy that he's not learning anything. So for example, if your child already knows the letters, asking your child to identify letters in a program or in a workbook to just like trace the letters and kind of name those letters, it's going to be really boring. She's not going to be motivated, and the chances of actually spending time on that are really low. And that's pretty much because she's actually not learning anything. So when kids are not engaged, you have to think about, is it too easy or is it too hard? Why my child is not getting engaged in that? So that can also help. Let's see, we have 3 minutes. Another question that I have for middle school. My child is entering middle school. What should I prioritize? He's doing well in academics, but I'm just worried about the next step of middle school. Definitely, middle school is a big jump for all the kids. I would suggest like the typical struggles from middle schoolers. For those who don't have any academic issues, it's not necessarily the skills, the contents, but it's more about the system of the middle school. So, and it's more about the executive functional skills. What are those? I mean, maybe you read them, they're kind of everywhere if you read about, I don't know, learning in kids. The executive functional skills are skills that we need, like adults and little ones and adolescents, we all need kind of to thrive in life, because those are the skills that are related to how we organize ourselves, how we can organize our day, time management skills, planning skills, prioritizing, persistent to the task. So all those skills are very important, and they will be different according to the age group, of course. But when it comes to middle school, all those skills are essential for middle schoolers in order to navigate the system, right? They're gonna have so many subjects at the same time. They have to figure it out what to do first, what to do next, note-taking. So I would say that if you want to focus something over the summer for the middle school entrance, it would be about the executive functional skills. Not necessarily academics if your child is doing fine, but help him through the day. Okay, so let's plan your day. The same thing that we did with planning the routine for the little ones. You can ask your child to plan the day, to write it down and organize what he would like to do first, and then cross out everything that he's been so far, and check it out if he had something left or not. In that way, you will be helping your child organize, the day, prioritize what he would like to do first and then, and see if his organization was good enough in terms of ruling out if he had something left or not, according to the time he had or he wanted to spend for each of those things. So then you're kind of modeling and helping him out for time management as well. That's one thing that you can do. Note-taking can be another skill that they would definitely need. If they're watching a movie, eventually they can just take some notes about the plot of the movie. I mean, there's many, many things that we can do. We can help, the kid at least be ready or have some, executive functional skills ready for middle schoolers. It's 2 o'clock already. I have many more questions, but I know that we have like those 30 minutes for now. What I will do, I will keep on answering those questions from the ones that I didn't have time before, and I will be sending an email with the Q's and A's and the replies for everyone to be able to read or watch. So thank you very much for listening and being here today. Our next episode or talk from the Ask Me Anything series, it's going to be in July. And actually the topic that I will be talking about, it's the execution functional skills from early childhood to adolescence. So let's keep posted. Let me know if you need any help throughout the summer. And I hope to see you all in July. Bye.